Thanks Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Before I even start this Galaxy S23 Ultra review, I will cover some of that mixed Apple and Android ecosystem problem here in this video, but I wanted this video to be less about Apple and more about the experience of the Galaxy S23 Ultra, because I really think that not enough really is being said about this phone coming from a perspective of someone who used iPhones for 15 years. I'm Alex and I do down-to-earth tech videos. Let me set the scene here for you. After nearly 6 months of using the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, one of the things that I wanted to do was to see if I could break away from the Apple ecosystem, and I did fail, but things are slowly changing. About 2 months ago, I managed to find a decent compromise using a burner iPhone 13 mini. Arguably a waste of money, I know. I explained all of this in this video over here, and you can watch that after, or maybe there. You can watch that after for more context. And the main reason I went through all that trouble was because I was very reluctant to lose all the features I had on my Apple Watch Ultra. You know, the connectivity with the rest of the Apple ecosystem. And as you can see, this is a Garmin watch, is becoming less and less of a problem. I am trying, right? Having said that, I haven't got rid of the Apple Watch Ultra, I still use it from time to time, but it doesn't matter how much I want to, and a lot of people will not admit to this, you know, the rest of the Apple ecosystem is very strong and it's still very hard to ignore completely. Especially, you know, when you've had it for so many years, you know, I've got so many Apple devices at home, AirTags, you know, all the things, automation of my lights and things like that. But as much as it was easier to have an iPhone, I'm having a much better time with my S23 Ultra. Yes, it's a bit of a trade-off, right? But I'm getting more and more out of this device the more I sort of learn to live with this mixed ecosystem. But you know what, when I think about this, right, coming from someone who's used every single iPhone since the first one, that should be telling you something, right? Now, enough about Apple, let's talk about the design of the S23 Ultra. As someone who suffers from gear acquisition syndrome, it's easy enough to get excited for the shiny new thing, right? So there's always that element of, you know, being in a honeymoon period. But 5 months, you know, nearly half a year, right, is enough time. And this design for me has stood the biggest test, which is the test of time. There isn't a single day when I look at this phone and I think, oh, yeah, this is a beautiful phone. I actually gave Samsung a lot of stick for not changing the design from the S22 Ultra, but I was wrong. You know, the S22 Ultra just, you know, left a bad taste in my mouth, I think, and it was a horrible experience for me. It was the Exynos, and the 13 Pro Max at the time was just better for me, and of course the 14 Pro Max later was still better than the S22. But there's so much to be said about a device this big, you know, with such a big display being so comfortable to use. They really nailed it. In my opinion, you know, it's not as comfortable as, for example, a lighter Pixel, but as big phones go, you know, Samsung really created a perfectly balanced smartphone for me. You know, I didn't any time today. Be better, isn't it? Lighter mood in there. It's quite nice. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. You know, I hear a lot of this guy is sponsored by Samsung. Shit, that is a Samsung TV. I mean, that would be awesome if I was, but honestly, right now, I'm just a happy customer. If you go back to how I felt about the S22 Ultra, you'll see what I mean. I don't have any issues in flip-flopping my opinions because I honestly think that brands need to hear our honest opinions, you know, at the right time. And this time, credit where it's due. Samsung created an amazing phone. But it is a shame though that it's only me and a few others here on YouTube saying this, because some of those massive channels, I don't know, they're probably scared maybe that, you know, Apple are not gonna be sending them any more freebies. Anyway, I'm not gonna diss them, but I do think not enough credit has been given to Samsung this time. If this was an Apple device, we wouldn't be hearing the end of it, right? Ultimately, I just hope Samsung, Google, Sony, and Apple themselves all just keep pushing each other, because the more competition, we as customers are always going to be the winners here. And talking about winning, holy shit, the battery on this phone is incredible. You know, I've seen those crazy videos where people just drain the battery and compare the phones in a very unrealistic way. There's some value in those, and I've done those tests myself, but I always think it's more useful for you to see the phone being used in anger on a day-to-day basis. And I gotta say, in the last 5 months, there was only a couple of occasions where, you know, I used the entire battery in one day. And I should mention that those were extreme scenarios. In one of them, I was recording over 150 clips of 8K videos, taking dozens of expert raw shots, you know, whilst at the same time using navigation and actually being on the phone in conference calls and things like that for 2-3 hours. Yeah, those days the battery was dead by 11 PM, which is still like incredible. And they were rare occasions. Typically, you know, I don't stress about the battery anymore. It's just one of those things that for me, I just take it for granted now. I just know that at the end of the day, I will have 40 to 45% left of battery. And even if I forget to charge overnight, you know, the phone would take me safely to lunchtime next day, if not longer. Really can't underestimate how good this battery is. I'm still not entirely sure how Samsung are achieving this. Maybe it's just that perfect marriage of Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 and the battery managed software itself. But that's just the geek in me, right? Wanting to know more about how they're doing it. As a consumer, this just makes me super happy. And when it comes to happiness, let's just appreciate this beautiful display and the speaker quality here as well. By the way, if you don't have YouTube Premium, you're not gonna see any mid-roll ads here because I'm about to share an ad with you, right? I've got to be honest. But I try to make the ad read useful because I appreciate that you might not be interested in this product. But it's something that I use myself on a daily basis and they are making this video possible. So let's enjoy this beautiful display side by side with this other incredible phone from Samsung, my Fold 4, which is absolutely my favorite device last year, while I share a fantastic deal as well from today's sponsor, Surfshark. Surfshark has been a great app for me, extremely robust. I installed it as soon as I get any device and it's very simple to use. I've shared this before, but one of my favorite features is how easy it is to share the subscription across all my devices. I have this huge mix, not just personally, but at home as well in my family, with Apple, Windows, Android devices, and every single device is protected the same way. I have a young son as well. In today's world, right, as a pre-teenager and is easily exposed to things that, you don't want to. I think it's super important to have as many protection barriers as possible. And Surfshark offers that. There's the VPN aspect, of course, which helps me, when I'm accessing a public Wi-Fi. For those times when, you never really know if there's someone monitoring your usage or trying to steal the information. Sounds a bit creepy, but, it happens. I worked in the IT industry, so I know this sort of things do go on. It might be a cafe or a hotel. And of course, we rely so much on storing our credit card details, usernames and passwords in our devices. So I really love how Surfshark VPN puts a mask, if you like, encrypting your connection, which means any hackers out there would have a really hard time trying to snoop on you, to find out what you're doing or where you're doing it from. And here's the kicker, another 2 great ways that Surfshark helps me is when I'm online shopping or watching content. I'm from Brazil and I like watching content from Brazil sometimes, and I can easily change my IP address to a different country and look for the best online deals, or I can browse streaming services and watch content that is country specific. And like these sweet Samsung displays that you're watching here, here's a sweet deal for you. With my code AlexGTech, you get an exclusive deal and 3 extra months for free. Just use the link in the description with the promo code to get started. And thanks again Surfshark for making this video possible. I cannot tell you how tricky it is to make those ads interesting. It requires a lot of multitasking. Which brings me to probably the most underrated feature of Samsung devices in general, not just the S23 Ultra, which is Samsung DeX. Not enough is said about this, and I know Apple with the iPad is trying to do something similar, but this has been amazing for me. Admittedly, I don't use DeX on my phone every day, mostly when I'm doing these videos, I'll give it a go, but I use it a lot on my Tab S8 Ultra all the time. I mean, my Tab S8 Ultra lives on my desk on this stand, it never leaves. And at work, on my normal kind of 9-to-5 job, I use that a lot, especially when I don't want to install Office on my Mac or do something like that. This is perfect for those admin tasks. Having that desktop power on a phone, really something that, we have to applaud. I was just about to hit upload on this video. My friend Daniel from Australia just released a video on DeX that if you want to know anything about DeX, that's the video to watch. I'll leave a link to his channel down below. Obviously, it would be awesome if you subscribe to this channel as well. But I think YouTube is about sharing in the community, and Daniel, he's doing a great job on Samsung stuff, so if you like Samsung, that's your man. I just love how Samsung don't seem to cut corners or care, whether something like this would maybe cannibalize laptop or tablet sales. They don't give a shit. They just go, it's a good feature, have at it. And I love that. The same way I love all the extra things that I can't even fit in this video because it would be like a half-an-hour long video, like the included S Pen, the super responsive biometrics, face or fingerprint, the haptics. I could go on. There's a lot more that I love about this phone, but before I go on, just a quick reminder to like this video if you're enjoying it, of course. And please check the channel afterwards, see if you like my stuff, and if you do, it would be awesome if you subscribed. I'm here at least once a week with a new down-to-earth tech video for you. But you know what else I love? I know I said I wanted this to be less of a comparison between the iPhone 14 Pro Max and the S23 Ultra, but call quality for me was one of the key deciding factors to let go of my 14 Pro Max. Obviously your mileage may vary, you may not even care about call quality, and I am 100% trying the iPhone 15 as well because that's my job, but I think it's going to be really hard to beat Samsung on this. I never had a problem with this in the last 5 months, and as someone who relies on call quality a lot for work, this means a lot to me, right? I know it's something that we tech reviewers sometimes ignore, but it's still a phone, right? You got to be able to phone people, in my opinion anyway. And no, I haven't forgotten about the cameras. For me, as a creator who still has a 9-to-5 job, I mean, right now it's 10 p.m. and I'm kind of trying to juggle everything here. time is very limited. You know, for everyone it's the same, right? But for me, trying to make these videos and have another job during the day, it's just crazy. So it's super important for me to be able to get quick shots. It might be a 5-minute break that I've got, my lunch hour. I just want to be able to capture whatever it is in that moment without having any compromise. Previously, the iPhone was the camera that I carried with me for those situations. Now, for the first time in, well, ever, is that I can say that I can use an Android device, my S23 Ultra, professionally without any issues. I've had the Pixel before, you know, and the Pixel takes great shots, but for video, the S23 Ultra is the first phone that I can use for video in a professional way. To give you an example, right, I forgot my main camera and I usually like to do some external shots just to spice things up a little bit, and I'm super confident that I can use this phone. I mean, everything you're seeing now is the S23 Ultra recording. That was 4K 30, now it's 4K 60. You know, on the front facing camera, and the audio quality, as you can hear, is fantastic. I am gonna go outside in a minute.
Holy cow.
As I was saying, right, it's really kind of windy and you can still hear me perfectly. I mean, this is totally usable footage. It is an expensive device, but you know, all the smartphones these days, right, it's above $1,000 these days. I don't know who decided that, but with the S23 Ultra, I think you are getting your money's worth. Cows are distracting, right? Let's go back to this. So yes, I failed because I still have my burn-up iPhone 13 mini, and to be honest with you, I don't even know where it is right now. That's how much I don't seem to care anymore. And my Apple Watch Ultra, I still have it and I still use it every now and then. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not wearing it right now, but I still use it. And I have my MacBooks, I edit this video with my Macs, right? And I have iPads. But on the other hand, I think this is making me appreciate the options that we have out there. I'm not anti-Apple, but I just think that they've been neglecting the iPhone for some time, especially when you look at how much is being packed into the S23 Ultra. Having said that, I've had issues with the S23 Ultra, it must be said, and I know other people have had some serious issues with things like Expert Pro mode and generating the pictures properly, also with slow shutter. And I have experienced myself a couple of issues where Gmail, for example, was frozen and I wouldn't be able to type it. You know, it was a couple of times, and also a very slow screenshot. That still happens to me today, which is a weird one. You know, you go to take a screenshot and it is kind of a half a second, maybe a little bit longer, and then you kind of miss the screenshot that you wanted to take. It has gotten better recently, but I wouldn't say the experience has been perfect, but it's pretty damn close. What's next for me? A lot of you might think that I will switch back to the iPhone 15 in a couple of months or whatever. I find that highly unlikely, to be honest. You know, maybe next year. Hey, we mustn't forget, right? I really hated the S22 Ultra and put me off Samsung, to be honest, you know, for a while. But I still tried the S23 Ultra and I'm glad I did. So what I'm saying is Apple could pull something out of the bag next year. A rabbit in a hat, maybe? I don't know. But why do I say next year? Well, from what I've seen in terms of rumors, right, on the iPhone 15, there's nothing there that will bring me back to actually using the iPhone instead of the S23 Ultra. I'll definitely review the iPhone 15 when it comes out, and I will do more than just unboxing here. I'll definitely review the iPhone 15 when it comes out, and I'll do more than just the usual unboxing. That's my job, right? But let's not forget, I also love the foldable phones, and I can see the Fold 5 potentially being my main phone for a while before I even think about the iPhone 15. See you soon. All right, we're done. As soon as I press record, the bloody thing starts. One sec. They're gonna be banging every day now. Can you shut up? That told them. Oh god, so typical. I wanna say something, but you are all that I see.